God, I hate getting my keys out every day. Hold on, let me look into my car. One of the really cool features of this car is that I can unlock it with my face, just like you can with an iPhone. So I just look into the pillar here and the car unlocks and lets me in because it has facial recognition built into it if you have a car which has it spec'd. Once in a generation, you get a car which is so important that it changes the way we think about cars. With EVs, it started with the BMW i3, the first electric car that people really saw anywhere. And then Tesla took on the mantle with the Model S. Recently, we've seen some huge changes in the way EVs are built and the quality that goes into them. In the US, we've got the Rivian R1T pickup truck and a car which hugely impressed me, which takes the Tesla idea to the next level, the Lucid Air. You can check out my videos on both those cars on the channel. This may well be the next car that does that. Whilst the German manufacturers have created plenty of EVs over the last couple of years, this Genesis GV60 takes it to the next level. This car is so impressive in so many ways. I'm Oliver, this is Tech in the Car, and this is the Genesis GV60. Now, this is a small SUV crossover, but as an EV, it takes everything to the next level. This car is built on the same platform as the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6. And just like those cars, it takes all the best parts of them and takes it to the next level. We're talking better interiors, more luxury, more technology, and arguably better performance. We'll talk about that in a little bit. This car, in every shape, way, and form, is something which draws attention. I've been trying to film in this car the last couple of days, and every time I stop, somebody asks me about it. Now, if you don't know much about Genesis, Genesis are the high end of Hyundai. They are like Lexus to Toyota. That is what Genesis are. And all of their cars come with a 5-year care plan. So you can only buy Genesis cars through their online website. When you buy them, they will deliver them obviously to you, take care of everything, and they include 5-year care plans, which include servicing, courtesy cars, breakdown assistance, software updates, warranty, etc. So everything is covered. Now, obviously in an EV, your services aren't that often or that much needed, but it applies also for their petrol cars, which I have a ton of videos on my channel about too. This car has over 480 horsepower in boost mode, which is a really cool button that you press, which I'll show you a little later, and over 700 Newton meters of torque. This car, as it is, the all-wheel drive dual motor Sports Plus, is £65,000, and this car is spec'd is £75,000. But for £47,000, you can get the entry-level premium, which has all of the same luxury and lots of the same features as this car. So there is a model for everyone if they're interested in buying one of these cars. Now, with any EV, we want to talk about range. This car has a range of about 289 miles. The premium entry-level model has a range of about 321 miles. So you gain extra power on this car compared to the 226 power from the single motor premium model, but you lose a bit of range. However, I don't mind when driving this car. The immense power is a lot of fun on this car, and this car also has a drift mode too. Now let's talk about the design of this car, because the design of this car is very, very interesting. It starts off with the telltale signature Genesis quad lights at the front and the back, and you can see these really cool square LEDs which look super distinctive. And because this is an EV, of course, it means that there's no grille where you would normally get the Genesis grille. They've migrated it down south here, and this is obviously just for design. It's an EV, it doesn't need a grille, but it looks good. It looks good. They've got the sporty bottom design here. It just looks fantastic. And you also might note the registration number of this car, GV60 SUV, which is what it is, of course. And you might be thinking, this is a very fetching color. Well, this is Matterhorn matte white paint, and this is an extra option which is quite expensive, but I think you would agree looks the part on this car. You can't argue about that. You might have noticed these amazing wheels. Genesis does alloy wheel designs like nobody else. I honestly love every single alloy wheel design I've seen on any Genesis car. These look a bit like lightning bolts to me, which is really smart for an EV. These are 21-inch wheels, and this acid yellow caliper color is an optional extra too. But these are some alloy wheels. You wouldn't want to curb them, but wow, do they impress. Now, one of the things which often gets people confused when they look at a Kia EV6 or Hyundai Ioniq 5 is how big they are in real life, because they're not small cars. This is not a small car. This is over 5 meters long. It is a small SUV, but it's deceptive. And this platform, the EGMP platform that Hyundai Group have built the EV6 and the Ioniq 5 and this car, the GV60 on, is an example of that. I mean, first of all, we've got a very short overhang here on the front of the car. The bonnet doesn't go very far, it's short. We've got relatively sized doors. We don't have a longer back door than the front door, but because we've got this coupe-esque, just like Nissan Juke I did recently, design, it just looks more sporty, more athletic. And then we've got this cool little Z lightning bolt, again, maybe you might say, at the back here. The back of this car is obviously tinted, so you can't see through there. And then we've got these pop-out handles, which I think are really cool. I like them a lot. And at the back here, we've got a big spoiler. Now, I have to be honest, this spoiler looks very good. It is a bit distracting when driving though, but it looks fantastic. And you can see the Telltale Genesis quad rear lights here bending around the side. It's got quite a flat side, but it just looked really good. And I think the matte paint enhances it too. This is one eye-catching car. We've got the roof rails here as well. And this car comes with the optional roof, which is all glass, allowing you to see through it and get lots of light into the car. That is not a standard option. So if you spec a Genesis, the premium model GV60, you'll have to choose if you want one of these glass roofs, if it's a choice, because otherwise, when we get inside, you'll see it's very bright depending on the colors on the interior that you choose. The rear of the Genesis GV60 continues that lovely design. We've got these quad tail lights. We've got a very flat back. It's got a tiny bit of a curve in it. And then we've got a painted silver bumper down here. And then we've got a nice little diffuser. This car has a really cool Genesis projected lines. When you reverse, we got the two little lights here which project it back. We got this spoiler. It's a cool spoiler. But what about space in the actual back of this car? Well, let's check it out, shall we? Power tailgate, which is fantastic to see. 432 litres in the back of this Genesis GV60. We do, of course, have the ability to cover the back of the car if we do that. And you can just see, like, even in the back of this car, the quality is unbelievable. I mean, just look at that. We've got these metallic rails there. We've got the soft plush carpeting on the back. We've got leather and Alcantara down the sides. I mean, it just... And then, of course, another nice little touch, we can lift this up to gain access to our charging. And talking about charging, it has a 77.4 kilowatt hour battery in this car. I mentioned the range before. This car also has the ability to fast charge on an ultra rapid charger, 350 kilowatts. It can do 10% to 80% in 18 minutes, just like the EV6 and the Ioniq 5. So you can charge this car really quickly if you can find a charger which does that, which is always useful to know. This is a very, very high quality car inside and outside. And by the way, that space I told you is also including the frunk, which we'll have a look at too in a second. The back of this car is very luxurious. You've got the Alcantara headlining, the beautiful leather quilted seats. It's just really, really comfortable back here. I love it. It's like amazing. This is a fantastic car to be in. The quality, we've got the Bang & Olufsen sound system, the cup holders at the back here. We've got the two USB Type-Cs, we've got the netting. We've got our space there to put stuff behind the front seats. It's just a really, really nice back of the car. I've got quite a lot of space here. This is my driving position. So I'm 178. I've got plenty of space back here. Yeah, it's really, really comfortable back here. Feels very, very much like it's worth the amount of money which this car costs. This car does indeed have a frunk. It is a beautiful gas strut supported frunk, which you would expect on a car which costs as much as this car costs. And we do have a small frunk here. When I say small frunk, it is a small frunk. There is a little space here, a little shelf. There's some netting here, so you can't put a lot in here, but at least it is there. Genesis did remember to put it in there. Some manufacturers don't even bother. One of the coolest features of this car is the vehicle to load reverse charging, which lets you charge anything you want. And then you plug in your reverse vehicle to load charger. And I got my laptop up here, so we will plug in my MacBook Pro that I edit all these videos on. And then I get my laptop and I can plug it in. And it will start charging, and I can do my editing by the car in the countryside anyway. In fact, this car will actually charge other electric cars as well as your home potentially, depending on if you have the correct way to connect it up. This car can charge many things, not just stuff like my laptop, which, by the way, this also has a plug inside that I can use to charge my laptop as well. The front of the Genesis GV60 is amazing. The only other time I've been so impressed by the interior of a car has been when I got in the Lucid Air, the Dream Edition Performance. That impressed me. That car cost over $100,000 and it felt like a $100,000 interior. This feels like a 60, 70,000 pound or better interior. Everything in here that you touch, it feels amazing, from this beautiful steering wheel in leather, the Alcantara on the top here. We've got leather on the dashboard. We've got these two big, beautiful 12-inch screens, which look amazing. We've got a really nice finish here. It's just the seats. It's just, oh, wow. This is just one impressive interior. This very much looks interior-wise like the Kia EV6 and like the Ioniq 5, which is to be expected. They're part of the same platform. They come from the same parent companies. It makes a lot of sense, but it's just taken up a notch. We've got heated and cooled seats here. We've got a beautiful 360 surround camera system, which is amazing. We've obviously got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in widescreen mode. We've got the fantastic Genesis controls for heating and cooling, which are really beautiful and tactile and work beautifully. I mean, I've not seen a Genesis interior that I didn't like. And this is the magic here. Look at this. Look what happens when I turn the car on. It turns around and now it becomes our gear selector. And then when I turn the car off, it swivels back round again. How fantastic is that? On the doors, where the door mirrors are, button to select are like beautiful milled turbines. This steering wheel is incredible, but the best thing about it is the fact that we've got a drive mode button and a boost button. If I hit the drive mode button, it will go from comfort to eco to sport. And when we're in sport mode, the side of the seat will contract to hold me in place if I'm going around a corner. That's a really cool feature which you've only seen, or which I've only seen on Genesis cars. Other Genesis have it, but they don't have the drive mode button on the steering wheel here. Let's go back to eco mode. The next thing which I love is the boost button. If I hit the boost button and I'm driving, it gives me an extra 50 horsepower, taking the horsepower up to 480 with 700 Newton meters of torque. It means this car can go insanely fast. And you can see that later when I'm driving the car. The technology in here, the driver assistance features, we'll talk about all of that when we're driving the car. But this is a very impressive interior. This is a car which really, even if you've never seen a Genesis or heard of a Genesis like in some parts of the world, you will immediately go, wow, that is some kind of car. And there are no other EVs in this market at this price point which are comparable. I think this is miles better than any Audi EV or Mercedes EV or BMW EV interior. This is a step above. This is amazing. Are you one of those people that hates having your face scanned for everything? Well, don't worry, Genesis has you covered. There's a fingerprint scanner in between the volume and the tuning button. Above the home button, you can tap it and the Genesis GV60 will set up it to your exact profile that you've already previously arranged, so your seat's in the right place. Everything's just perfect for you. Very cool from Genesis to have a fingerprint scanner and a face scanner in the car. You join me in the GV60 where I'm whispering because I want you to hear how quiet it is. Because other than the futuristic noise which I've chosen to have coming out of this car, there's next to no noise. Now, we're not driving on a totally flat surface here, but we're very close. And when we get on the road in a second, I think you'll see that it's even quieter when we're on the road. That's quite something from a car. Here on the road now, the only road noise that I can hear is not road noise. It is the noise of the car, the electrified noise that it makes, which, by the way, there are three cool noises. There's the futuristic mode, which is what this is right now. There's a G motor, which sounds a bit like an electric synthesized engine. And then we have our standard electric motor noise, which just sounds like an enhanced electric motor. Or you can turn them off. Now, I know some people have preferred to turn them off. For me, I quite like the futuristic noise. It's nice to know that you're actually moving, because you can't hear the road, because this car is so well insulated as a luxury car. Any outside noise just doesn't come into the car. So that's a huge deal, to have some idea that you are actually moving. I mean, I can barely hear these cars driving past me now. Last night, there was somebody honking their horn very, very loudly, and I could barely hear it. These are luxury, high-end levels of sound insulation in this car. This car has a boost mode, which gives it 480 horsepower. So let's try it out now. I'm gonna hit the boost button. First of all, let's go into sport mode. We're in sport mode now. Boost button, go. Okay, and that's way too fast. Let's brake now. And when you do go into boost mode, the screen kind of goes all like red, and you get like these warp design signatures. Whoa. Boost mode is insane. It should be called Top Gun mode, because I feel like I'm a fighter pilot in boost mode. There's no doubt that that is an insane mode, and as you turn boost mode on, the seats tighten as well to hold you in place, to make sure that you don't go flapping around and fall out your seats. Technology in this car is fantastic. It's got battery conditioning, so when you use the built-in nav system and navigate to a charger, it will automatically heat the battery up to make sure that the car is all at the right temperature to charge as efficiently as possible. So battery conditioning is a huge deal to be in this car. Also, we've got the latest version of Kia and Hyundai and Genesis Group's driver assistance system called Highway Driver Assist 2 on this car, and it can automatically change lanes by itself as well, which is a bit of a magnificent bit of technology there from Genesis. They have it on their petrol cars as well, but it's always fantastic to see such technology come through to these cars. As for handling of this car, this is a heavy car, there's no doubt about that, and it feels like a heavy car, but the noise cancellation coming from just having such a well-insulated car, and the fact that it's so comfortable, and the fact that it's so effortlessly fast, means that even though you can feel the weight, it handles really, really well. Now, there's one negative I would say: range. This car should have 289 miles of range, WLTP. At 80% battery, this car was giving me 150 miles of range instead of what should have been around the 250 mark. So it's not performing as well as it could do. Now, it is cold, it is winter, it is England, and electric cars are affected by the heat and the cold. And the cooler it is, the worse performing the motors and the batteries are, which is why they have battery conditioning to heat the battery so it charges faster. However, there is a concern. You need to plan your journeys with any electric car which doesn't have super high range, and often you get an electric car which doesn't quite provide the range that you might expect when you're driving it around. In this car, that's a bit of a disappointment, because in every other way this car is amazing. Now, don't get me wrong, this car is not giving me poor range because it doesn't have a large enough battery. It's got a 77.4 kilowatt hour battery, which is the same as Kia and the same as Hyundai. I just think the combination of all this advanced technology, all this luxury, plus the weather is making the range lower. In the summer, hopefully, you would get better range. And it shouldn't let you be put off this car, because this is a fantastic car that I would highly recommend. This car has more premium and luxury in it than any other EV I have seen, except the Lucid Air and maybe the Rivian, which aren't even available in the UK. To be honest, there hasn't been a lot of innovation on EVs in Europe. In the US, with both Lucid and Rivian, and even Tesla to a certain extent, although not that much. And then in China, all the Chinese EV companies are doing lots of work. And then obviously South Korea, but the cars haven't come to Europe. Well, this is different. Genesis have brought their cars, their 3 cars, the Hyundai Group's 3 cars, and this car, the Genesis GV60, to Europe. And they've made a huge shift. We have a car here which has quality which is better than Mercedes and BMW, than Audi. Charge and range which is comparable with all the other competition. Performance which is, again, at the top end, one of the fastest cars available. Just all round, you get in this car and you go, wow, if there was ever a question that South Korea makes some of the best cars in the world, now we know for sure that it does, because this car definitely proves it. This has everything you could want in an EV. It is not a cheap EV. £47,000 is a mid-price, entry-level premium GV60. But if you're looking to spend around that about the same amount as you would on a Tesla Model 3, I would buy this. I would buy this. This is incredible as a car, as an all-round vehicle. It just blows my mind. It is mind-blowing. What is my tech in the car score for this, the Genesis GV60? Well, technology, 5 out of 5. Economy, it's an EV, 5 out of 5. Driving, 360 camera, ability to remote park with the key fob, 5 out of 5. Price, I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 for value, because we know this is not on the cheap end of EVs, but it's still reasonable for everything you get. Overall, this is an amazing car. I'm very impressed with it. You owe yourself, if you're interested in an EV, the right to check out one of these GV60s. If you end up going for an Ioniq 5 or EV6, then you'll be getting the same car, just without the amazing luxury that this car has. And that might be what you're after, but you should definitely check out a Genesis GV60. Please do check out my other Genesis videos. I have 6 other cars, maybe more by now by the time you watch this video, from Genesis, and a ton of EV reviews, including the Lucid Air Dream Edition Performance and the Rivian R1T in the USA. So please check them out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and see you soon. Thank you.